There is a paradox with a personal essay. On one hand, you're saying something intimate about yourself, but the irony is that disclosure is going to create connection with someone who may not have had that experience. So the best personal essays have a point at the end that's much wider than personal. It links with really the broader human journey.
Welcome everyone to College Bound Parenting, Crafting the Perfect College Essay. Professor H will provide you with the tools and confidence to craft an essay that truly reflects your strengths and aspiration.
Thank you, Walter, for this opportunity, and I really appreciate anyone who's come out. But in a nutshell, my presentation has three parts. The first is an overview of my book and some discoveries I've made in the 15 plus years working with students on college admissions essays. And then the second part focuses on the main essay, the 650-word common application essay that pretty much all undergrad applicants have to write. All of us on the call need to see these college essays as a kind of coming of age story, and that they're really valuable parts that you're crafting of a young adult's nonfiction writing. And you know your story better than anyone. And I guarantee that when you look back at this time on your life where you're in multiple transitions, could be leaving home for the first time, the journey from high school to college, you will probably treasure if you gift yourself with the time to map out enough time to do the essays. For instance, say, you have supplements due, January 1st, you make that deadline before Christmas and give yourself a buffer. I'm not exaggerating that these are going to become really family heirlooms of you in transition and on the cusp from childhood into early adulthood and the early professionalization of your career journey. There is a paradox with a personal essay. On one hand, you're saying something intimate about yourself, but the irony is that disclosure is going to create connection with someone who may not have had that experience, may likely not have it, but you create a connection. So the best personal essays have a point at the end that's much wider than personal. It links with really the broader human journey. So if I had to say this was like a 10-minute presentation, what are the essentials? I would say really planning, because when Walter and I were in school, we didn't have supplements. We maybe had scholarship essays if that was, an individual situation, but you had one essay, there really wasn't much of a word count, you typed it on a typewriter, but I can't stress the importance of deadlines and moving the deadlines up. Life throws curveballs, and it's going to make for less stress, and you're going to enjoy the process more. It's really a luxury. It can be deeply satisfying to get into and savor an artistic endeavor. And these essays, the best ones, they absolutely do have artistry because you're really creating something from your own experience. I mentioned earlier about proofreading. Again, with the competitive schools, not only do you want the essay to be grammatically clean, which is, why you show it to as many people as you can, sometimes just in proofreading, you can tighten the word count. Okay, I said a little bit about the end of the essay. The end of the essay is to build a bridge with where you've been and where you hope to go. You can craft your whole essay about, okay, I had this experience with animals when I was younger. This is why I know I want to be a vet. But you may just simply set the goal at, what from this can I bring to my new environment? Greater self-awareness, listening skills, to build a bridge with that, okay, you've been here and then this is where you hope to go. Prism art, it's complex. Like, what should you write about? But I can tell you this, as a baseline, just say you're really into sports. You don't want to have like 3 essays all about sports. It's as if you have a photo reel of the different identities you hold. Just say you want to write an essay about your passion for knitting. You probably want to avoid an essay that's about sewing for the same school. Does this make sense? So the essays go beyond what they see in the resume, but just, try to avoid duplication with the subject matter. So some themes we found in our winning essays that over the years, there were really powerful essays about the relationship with the mother. Also family, because, you spent a lot of time as a young person with your immediate family, or the vast majority of us do. So that could be a relation with a sibling, with a grandmother. There is no obligation in these essays to sound like super philosophical. Recent favorite essay of mine was a young man who wrote about making homemade pasta with his dad. There's nothing especially intellectual about that, but the detail he went into with the pasta and how it's a link, that's related to the prompt. Maybe you have an interest that you feel is really part of your identity that the admissions listeners would know about, what would that be? We had a number of students where race was at the center of the essay. We had students where they wrote about really moments of growth, bullying, speaking up. Sometimes it was how they expressed themselves, passion and hustle, playing upon the theme of music. We had a student write about his side gig as a DJ, a young woman who has income earning activity with her love of grading. Even a student's passion, he was a business school applicant for Monopoly as a young person. And then we have with each essay the author where they are now and then reflecting on their journey. So here are some other reasons why the college admissions essay as a genre is important. I feel that some of these essays are very useful to college admins reflecting where higher ed is underserving our youth. And also, I think they inspire the readers as to what youth are doing and can be invigorating and keep dedicated admissions officers, doing what they're doing and excited about, the incoming class. But please don't underestimate this essay as it's something you check off as a secondary element of the application. I hope this book will begin a much broader study of looking at this genre and how students' lives are reflecting the challenges in society that ideally the college education can begin to fill those gaps or have broader conversations. So this is an excerpt from one of the student reflection narratives. I'll just read. It says, being 18 and knowing how to tell a story of your worst moments to depict your resilience is often what makes you a suitable applicant, but it's a difficult task to any teenager. So he admits outright that sitting down and approaching the essay was daunting. If you feel that way, believe me, you're not alone. But this student wrote an essay about resentment from his brother getting more attention as the brother was in his later youth diagnosed with schizophrenia. So this wasn't, I won the state champs of basketball. That could be a good essay, but it's looking intimately at how he was feeling when the brother got, more attention and how he aims to, as he graduates college, enable him to shine and how not being in the spotlight, what some skills he was able to develop. So, there's no obligation that you have to tell a wild success story or that pressure. I mean, vulnerability and authenticity go a long way. Even if the bulk of the essay is about some kind of trauma, resentment, you want the last couple of sentences to paint a moment of optimism, at least sober hope that, you're on the up and that you're excited to bring this experience, whether it's, you develop patience from something, greater compassion, that you can contribute that to your new environment.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness.